Welcome to the fifth section of the course Building an Application with AngularJS. In the 20th video of the course, we are trying to demystify the service. In this section, we will talk about what a service is, what lifecycle a service has. Then we will use an out-of-the-box service of Angular to access server resources, followed by building our own service. Finally, we will familiarize ourselves with the 5 recipes how we can construct a service. In Angular, we have services and special objects. We already talked about the special objects, which are views or templates, controllers, directives, and filters. Now it's time to get more familiar with services. When implementing controllers for a somewhat complex view, the amount of code that we write increases quickly. And soon we reach the situation where the controller has too many responsibilities and thus becomes hard to maintain or extend. Maybe we have a controller that calculates the accrued interest of an investment over 5 years that you plan. And you also want to know the monthly payments you will face. There is a lot of mathematics or more generally business logic involved, which is not directly related to the view or workflow within the view. Thus, it's time to refactor and extract this code into a helper object which does nothing else than calculate the accrued interest or the monthly payment given some input parameters. We call such a helper object a service. Now, if we want to use this service, we rely on Angular's dependency injection to wire everything together. For it to work, we need to register the service object with Angular. We can use the factory method on the application module to do so. When using this service in a controller, the controller all of a sudden looks much lighter and cleaner. We can concentrate on workflow logic and thus adhere to the single responsibility principle, whilst the service does the heavy lifting. We can now run our little finance application in the browser and test it. Let's say we want to buy a house and take a mortgage of $300,000 over a period of 30 years, where the interest rate is 3.25%. Angular provides a lot of useful services out of the box. Their names all start with the $sign. For example, $HTTP, $Windows, $timeout, $route, etc. We will talk in more detail about the $HTTP service in one of our next videos. To summarize, we have learned that the service is nothing else than an object with properties and methods, where the former represent the data and the latter behavior of the service. We register a service with Angular by, for example, using the factory method. We use dependency injection to wire services and other objects together. Controllers ideally should only contain workflow logic, whilst services contain shareable business logic. In the next video, we are going to analyze the life cycle of a service.